And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is once again another patron roster review. That is right. Now this is Ethan. Ethan has been a patron of mine off and on for a while. He helps me out quite a bit. Really appreciate him. He's always in the comments and doing some really cool stuff. So Ethan, shout out to you, bud. What's happening? Also, he's from the guild BDB. So what's happening, BDB? How are you guys doing? Now his team, he's doing really well in. I know his team looks really pretty powerful, but he's a free-to-play character. He doesn't spend money in the game, and so it's really difficult. You got to be hyper-focused on only a few characters to make sure that all of your resources go into those characters, all of your guild rewards go into those characters, all your raid pieces, everything, and that's what he's done. You're pretty much seeing the best of the best. It's why he's still kind of in the old meta. Now he's modified his team a little by putting Boba Fett in there, and Jedi Knight Anakin isn't a bad idea at all. It keeps him in the top 100 in ships. The fleet arena, he's in the top 300, which is not bad at all for his ships, and he's very focused on the fleet arena because he sees the value in the fleet arena. So great job over there. Now let's go ahead and go into his list. The one thing that he has that I would highly recommend that he add to his team is to level up gear up. So he's at gear 9, get him to gear 10, and hopefully down the road gear 11, your Emperor Palpatine. Now the reason for that is I would actually replace your Jedi Knight Anakin with Emperor Palpatine. Shock is actually better than the buff immunity, and the shock applies basically every time, whereas the buff immunity from Jedi Knight Anakin is a percentage of the time. Plus with Emperor Palpatine, you get the AoE stun capability, and he does more damage than Jedi Knight Anakin on his basic, and the stuns are really important. Emperor Palpatine can also heal himself, so that is good. I would think that with Emperor Palpatine at gear 10, you should be able to carve a path into probably near the top 50 of your arena shard. I really love Emperor Palpatine, but gear 9 to gear 10 provides a ton of extra durability for your Emperor Palpatine. So slap him in your favorites and start gearing him from gear 9 to gear 10. As you see his abilities and all of his characters, all of the characters start to fall off pretty quickly as far as gear. He's only got a couple gear 9, and then he's got a couple of gear 11 because he's put all his energy into a couple characters. Smart for sure. That's all I really would do with your arena team. I think you're doing great there. In your arena. Again, like I said, top 100 for free to play. That's excellent. You're going to get great payouts, and you're going to be able to continue to get free crystals and work your way higher and higher by doing this. So way to be hyper focused. Now let's go ahead and look at a few characters that I have, I think about 8 or so, that I think that you should definitely focus on. And the first one is Rex. I am sure that you're currently working on him, but if not, slap him in your favorites and start working on him. He's a great leader. He's going to help you in the future, and he's real anti-meta. Because you're free to play, you can't just go, oh, Sith, and start doing Sith, and then, oh, Empire, and start doing Empire, and oh, Jedi, and Jedi. You have to stick with something that you know is going to be tried and true, and there are certain characters that are going to follow you through every meta, and this is one of those characters that will follow you or take you through every meta. Now let's look at number 2. As always, in my list, B2 Super Battle Droid has made his way in the list. Now, the reason why is because you're free to play, you really need this guy. He's going to help you. He's going to help you with Galactic War, too. Anytime you kind of get stuck in Galactic War, you're going to pull your B2 out of your tool belt, and you're going to use him as the tool to get through it. So think of it that way. He's really utilitarian. He's great in arena. He's got evasion down and an AoE that puts buff immunity on people's heads. He's a great tank, so put him in your favorites and start working on him. The next 2 come out of the Sith. Of course, you want to go ahead and continue to gear up, like I told you earlier, your Emperor Palpatine for the above reasons that I mentioned. And then the next one out of here is Darth Nihilus. Darth Nihilus, I know he's a Sith, but he's going to be usable now and forever in the future. He's a phenomenal character with a great toolkit, super durable. You can plug him into any team. You definitely want to start focusing on gearing him up. I see that you're spending opportunities in getting Annihilate and some other things up, so make sure you're gearing him up. The gearing up to level 7 on any character is actually pretty fast and quick. You can do it in 1 or 2 days, even as free to play if you're hyper focused. So make sure that you're getting these guys geared up. Number 5 is TIE Fighter Pilot. Make sure that you're working on your TIE Fighter Pilot for ships and for your Empire team, so you have part of the Empire. The Empire is one of the pillars of the game, so you definitely want to have some of the best Empire leveled up for the events and things like that that are to come. And this is one of those characters that is just crazy good in an Empire team, and his ship is one of the best. It's the fastest in the game, so you definitely want to make sure you're continuing to develop your TIE Fighter Pilot. Now, as far as who to Zeta, you're not going to Zeta anyone immediately right away, but just a couple of thoughts is your Darth Vader could be Zetaed, so that way you have a Zeta Darth Vader once you get him to 7-star, so that way you can do more damage and get better rewards out of the Rancor raids. You'll also be more of a team contributor in that. The Zeta for Darth Vader is what traditionally most people do as their first Zeta. It's not a bad move for free to play. It's a very safe move because it helps ensure you get more rewards from the Rancor raid, and that will help you in turn be able to gear your characters up faster. Another option would be to Zeta Rey. Now, I know a lot of people don't like or don't think this is a good option, but Rey is one of the biggest damage dealers that you personally have, and we're going with economy of motion. What that means is the fewest amount of moves, and when you look at your characters, what you have unlocked, it falls off really quickly. There's not a lot of characters in these top 3 rows that even have a Zeta capability, and Rey is one of them, so that would be a possibility as well. And then also, at some point, if you can get Darth Maul leveled up more, geared up more, you could always Zeta him and put him as a lead and have Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader behind him with Darth Nihilus. But with this team, it does require you to get your Emperor Palpatine higher, your Darth Maul higher. But for ships and ships alone, I would highly recommend that you take your time and get Darth Maul and his ship both leveled up for the purposes of ships. Even if you never use him in arena, for ships alone, he's worth it, and so is his ship. Now, we talked about your arena, and we did just mention ships, so I want to go into your fleet arena where you're doing very well. Let's go ahead and check it out. You're using your Admiral Akbar as your lead, so your top 2 characters working together indirectly, both Rebels, Wedge, and Biggs, they're great under Admiral Akbar. I would continue to use them, and Jedi Consular's in your top 4. I would continue to use him, but I would use your Geonosian Soldier because he does the attacks and he calls the assists and whatnot, but I would use your Imperial TIE Fighter in your top 5, and you're not currently doing that. And the reason for that is your Imperial TIE Fighter is going to be an ability blocker. He's going to be able to put your buff immunity down if someone has target lock, and he's going to be able to apply target lock on his basic, plus he's the fastest ship in the game. So you want to make sure that you're using him, and I recommended you gear the Imperial TIE Fighter. So if you gear the Imperial TIE Fighter, you're going to make his ship just that much more effective. In your backup, I would have your Sunfac in your backup as a replacement tank once Biggs dies. Your Biston U-Wing, while it's not very leveled up, is one of your top ships, and so this would be another one that I would be using in your backup lineup. And then the last is the First Order TIE Fighter. It's definitely a ship that can apply target lock and is really pretty fast and does quite a bit of damage coming in after Biston. Hopefully he'll be able to finish doing the damage that you need to continue to climb. So those are my thoughts on ships. I really feel like overall you've got a pretty good lineup, really, with what you're currently using. You're using, your Biggs and Wedge, your Geonosian, Jedi Consular. My only suggestion is take that Biston ship out of the initial lineup for your Imperial TIE Fighter. Even though the Imperial TIE Fighter ship is not as strong, I think it's going to provide more utility for your initial 5. And then in the backup have Sunfac, Biston, and then the First Order TIE Pilot, and you can kind of play around with them. But that's what I would suggest, Ethan. Things are looking really good for free-to-play. You're doing an amazing job. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.